Good morning. Good to see you again, and welcome back to Doing Life with Itzy on a Bitsy Budget. Today we're going to go into the guest room and we're going to talk about some ways that you can make your guests feel extra special when they come and visit. Okay, so we're in the guest room, and let's look around and talk about a few things. First of all, when you enter the guest room, you want to be able to see something that is totally different. When my guests come in or I enter my guest room, I think, wow, that looks good. And I spend a lot of time thinking about what would make my guests feel more comfortable. So I want them to come here and relax. They can shut the door and stay in here for a little while. Again, the way our house is laid out, we don't have an attached bathroom here. And people need to get away and kind of have some privacy. So I make sure that everything looks clean. For me, white is a good color. For you, it may be something different. But when you walk in, you automatically see for fall, I've started decorating the house, and we'll do some more of that in a couple weeks. But I went ahead, I had a guest, and I made up these beds for our fall. So I used the orange vintage sheets. They have crochet on the edging. And I bought these pumpkins at a little festival one year, and they're my little decoration for fall in here. I leave my valances the same for fall. I will change those out for Christmas with Christmas hankies. But I also want to think about my guests when they come in, not just show off your pretty things. So I have, if you'll notice, there's a, if you look down there, there is a cord that I purchased at TJ Maxx, and it will accommodate your plugs or your phones or your tablets so somebody can just easily access it. And then in here, I have a little punch of music paper. I have a bin of that. I bought it at an estate sale. And I keep some extra cords and all for anybody who comes. And if somebody leaves them, like my niece did this, just add it to the collection. Okay, I leave a little bit of candy out. Every room in my house has a little bit of candy, if nothing but Hershey Kisses. But if they have a sweet tooth, then they can have a little surprise there to eat. Okay, our beds are very high. These are two vintage beds. Again, I got these vintage beds at two separate estate sales. And so, although they are not the same, they work together. And I couldn't have anything that was a full headboard piece because this room's too crowded anyway. There are 12 inches on each side of the bed, so I can slip in there and make it up. So you have to think about the layout of your room. Now, because we have some shorter people or kids spending the night, I just bought this little step stool. Nothing fancy. It was $5 at a thrift store, and I didn't want to recover it, so I just take these doilies and cover it up. And you can climb in there, gives you a little boost. So again, I'm thinking about my guests. Here on the floor at the estate sale, I bought this. It's not a rug, but it's a thick crocheted piece. And so I put it down here just to wipe your feet on, and I can throw it in the washer at any time. Over here I have a little hamper, and I always use a brooch, and I talked to you about this last time, my signature prism that I put on things. But they can use that while they're staying here, put their dirty clothes in it, and then pack them back up at the end of their stay. In this dresser, I have usually a lot of nieces and nephews that stay here, so I have some things they may need, the hair ties and whatnot. And then I have a drawer with extra pajamas, because it never fails when people come to our house, especially the kids, they decide to spend the night, and I have some little pajamas that they can wear. So, just here's an empty drawer for any necessities that you might want to put in there if you're having a little longer stay. So again, we're going to think about our guests. Oh, up here, I do write everyone that stays here a message. So if it's my daughter-in-law or whoever it is, I'll write it and say welcome, for whatever their holiday or reason they're coming to visit, and that I love them. I always leave them a personal note. It makes people feel really special when you do it. Again, this little board here, I made this was a frame I had, and I went to Home Depot, and they sell this chalkboard already done. It's a big piece, it's thin, and I think it's like 3 by 4. And you just buy the piece and cut it to whatever size frame, and you have your chalkboard already done. So it's not something you got to paint or put a lot of work in. It's simply just cut it, and a lot of times they'll cut it there for you if you have your dimensions. Up here I just have a little something for them to look in. It's an old kaleidoscope with a marble. So you just kind of look in there and turn the marble. Just something of interest to grab while you're in here. Okay, so we keep our house pretty frigid here in the evening, even though we're in Florida. We like it cold. So what we do is I have a collection of quilts, which we'll talk about quilts at another time. But I just put out a few so that I can make sure they're warm. A lot of people aren't used to sleeping at 68, and that's what we keep our temperature at. So I put out my, a few, whatever the holiday is, I'll put something orangey or fallish looking out for each bed. Again, you don't have to have quilts. You could just have your own blankets or whatever would keep them warm. But think about them. Think about your guests. These crocheted bedspreads are pretty heavy, actually. This might be all you needed to just pull up over the sheet. All right, last I want to talk about this area. This is a little cup I have here, and I always have an arrangement, a fresh arrangement cut from usually my yard, and I'm going to make that for you in our next video. You'll see how I make it. It's simple, small, and again, another thing that invites people in. Then I have some books. If you notice, our guest room has no TV. Number one, I couldn't think of a place to put it that I liked it. And so I collect old books that are very short stories that someone can read. My daughter-in-law, Devin, has almost read them all. She loves those little books and says some are better than others, or the stories are interesting. So if they can't sleep or something, they can always find something to read. The main thing I want to show you too is I have a guest book. Now I bought this book at an antique store in Warner Robins, Georgia, I think, on a trip. And they took an old book and they put all different types of paper in here. And I decided it was the perfect book to use for people to sign when they come and spend the night. So this one's been going on since 2013. That's when this book started. So everybody that spends the night, they just write me a little note. And it's so nice to go back. People really enjoy it. We're going to make one of these books in the next month or so. I'm planning on a project for that, and I'm going to make one with you. Okay, I think that's it. Like I said, a couple of thoughts about what would make you comfortable in a room, make a big difference and an impact when people are visiting. I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Oh, I do want to tell you about a couple other things. One of these that I didn't point out was I have clean slippers for every guest. I wash them after they leave. I have 2 sizes in the women's and 2 sizes in the men's. So I usually know about what size my guests are. And I got these 2 vintage shoe racks at the same store I bought that book at. And I thought, oh, they're the perfect things, because a lot of times people don't take the time to pack slippers because they don't have room, especially if they're flying or whatever. So they always have a clean pair of slippers when they come to my house. And like I said, just buy a medium and an extra large, and that covers everybody usually. And another thing I want to point out is have a couple of robes. I mean, I can't tell you how many people come here and I wash them after each guest leave. But I have several different sizes, and most of these are leftover robes from my daughters that they didn't want anymore, or myself. And so I just put those in. And the kids love sleeping in these vintage nightgowns. They dress up in them, they play in them, and they actually use them. So don't be afraid to just put something extra. Here, let me show you one. This one is real cute. It's got a robe on it and everything. Oh, the things they used years ago are so fun. Thank you for being with me today, and please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.